Let's model a simple ceiling fan. Here I am in Blender with the default scene. I'm going to press A, X, delete, and get rid of everything. I'm going to look from the front, and I'm going to press Shift A, mesh, circle, and let's make this 22 vertices. Alright, just chose that number because I like it. I'm going to go into edit mode and press S to scale, S, and I'm going to just pull my mouse in like this. And I'm going to pull it up a little bit, like that. Okay. This is the part that's going to attach to the ceiling, and we're going to come down like this. Alright, so with that selected, I'm in vertex selection mode right now, which is number 1, but I could be in any of those modes. And I press E to extrude and pull down just a little bit, and then I'm going to press E to extrude, S to scale, come in just a little bit, E to extrude, and I come in some more like this. And then I'm going to press S to scale, and I'm making this cup-like structure, so this part will attach to the ceiling. So come in like that, and I'm going to press the middle mouse button and sort of turn it. E to extrude, S, come in, make a circle like this. This is the part that's going to form the stem or the stalk, or the part where the cord would be. And press 1 to look from the front again. Press E to extrude and pull down. And just look at the width of this, and I think that's probably okay like that. So I'll come down a little ways like that, and then you press E to extrude, pull down, S to scale. I'm going to scale it out like this, and I'm going to scale it wider than this, something like that, nice and big. Okay. Press 1 to go to look from the front. E to extrude, come down just a little ways. So I'm going to end off this first section. Now, I'm going to put a subdivision surface on this, and I want this edge to come in a little ways. I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to press E and S and just pull it in a little bit, so that when I deselect, which is Alt A, and press Tab to go back into object mode, I've got this little bit right here. So I'm going to add a subdivision surface. Now we can do it from the modifiers here, subdivision surface, or I can press Control 2. I want 2 subdivisions, and you can see it's put it right there. And I get this cone-like thing. Now I'm going to come into edit mode again and add a couple of edge loops. I'm going to press Control R here, click, and drag up to the top. Control R, click, drag to the bottom. Another one, Control R here, up to there. Come up here, Control R, come down to here. Another one, Control R, up to there. Another one in here, Control R, down to there. And we'll come over here, Control R, pull down to here. Another one here, Control R and up, and Control R and down. Now, shade smooth. And so you see I get this little piece there. And the reason I do that is when I make the next section, it doesn't look, like this is just paper thin. Okay, so we have that. Now, that's the top part. Before I go any further, let's come over here, click here, and I'm going to click on Matte Cap and the Cavity Shader. And then over here, I'm going to, under Type, I'm going to choose both, and I'm going to slide these up. And this will just make it look a little bit cooler. And I'm also going to choose a matte cap that I like. A lot of them come default with Blender, and some are free and some are paid, and I have some paid ones, and I'm just going to choose one that I like to model with. Look a little bit nicer. So I'm going to come over and choose this red and orange kind of one. I just want to make sure my polys are all facing outside. So I'm going to come over here and choose face orientation, and it's blue, so I'm good. Turn that off. Okay. So I'm going to make the next part that would hold the fan blades and that would turn around. And to do that, I'm going to use a circle, and I'm going to use a circle that's already part of this. So I'm going to go into edit mode, and I'm going to press 2 for edge selection, or click right there. And Shift and Alt and click one of these big circles. So I've got that one. A little bit hard to tell, but I've got that selected. Shift D to duplicate it, and I'm going to pull it down, pull it away. And I'm going to make this a separate object. So I'm going to press P, separate by selection, go back into object mode, and now I have that I can use from the front. So I'm going to go back into edit mode, A to select it all. I'm going to actually move it back up so it's pretty close. Now I'm just going to, this is very simple, I'm going to press E to extrude and come down and make a little band area here that the fan blades will come off of. And just like I did up here, I'm going to curve this in. So I'm going to Shift and Alt and click that edge, and I'm going to scale it in. I press E and S and just pull it in a little bit so it's underneath. Deselect, Shift Alt and click there, E and S. Come in. Now Control R to bring it into the bottom and down. In object mode, shade smooth. So I have that piece, and I can move it up just like that. So the fan blades will come off of that, and now we're going to make the bottom section. So I'm going to steal a curve again, or a circle, or whatever. So grab that, Shift D, pull it down, break it out, P. So I've got that. Go into edit mode. I'm going to move it up a little ways, start around there. I'm going to press E to extrude, come down in nice ways, something like that. And then I'm going to press F to make a face. It's going to look all weird. That's because when I copied the circle, it still has the modifier, the subdivision surface. It was on this one, and it's on this one. With that selected like that, I'm going to press Control B to bevel. And I'm going to pull quite far back, and I'm going to start rolling my mouse up a bunch of times. I'm going to go too nuts, but something like that. Alright, go into object mode, shade smooth. But down here we're just going to finish this off by pressing 3, going into face selection, select that piece. I'm going to press E to extrude. I'm going to come down straight a little ways. And let's try I for inset. I. We get a piece that comes in like this. Come in a little ways like that. Maybe we'll press E to extrude and come up in the Z direction a bit to pull it in. I to extrude again and just come in a little ways. And then I'm going to come E to extrude, come down just like this, and then we're going to bevel again like we did here. So I'm going to go Control B and pull. I'm holding Shift so that I can move slower. And I don't need that many segments in it, so if I roll my mouse back, you can see I have no segments there, or just like 2 edges. Just slide it up. I think I put 3 in there. Here, that's my mouse is back to 0. 1, 2, 3, stop. And I'll have this. Alright, well, it's just some kind of sci-fi thing. Let's just sharpen this up a little bit with some edge loops. Go back into edit mode and Control R here, slide one up. Maybe we'll slide one down. And maybe here, Control R, and here, Control R. And we'll have that. I'm not sure about this structure. We'll see if there's something else we want to do there. Let's come back up here now, and just like we did above, let's press 2 for edge selection, Shift Alt and click there, E and S, and just pull it in a little ways. And then maybe we'll bring an edge loop up, just not too tight. I like it a little bit rounded. So now if you look from a slight side view, you see a piece going in, you don't see it just ending. If that makes sense, I didn't explain it very well. I'm gonna pull it up a little ways there. Okay. Now, we'll do some more work on this in a bit, but let's work on the fan blades. Save this first. I want the fan blades to come off this piece, and so I'm going to select it, go into edit mode, press A to select it all, and Shift S, cursor to select it. That'll bring my 3D cursor right to there if I look from the front. Okay, right in the middle of this piece, so when I build the fan blades, it's closer to this part. I press 7 to look from the top. You see my 3D cursor is right in the middle. And I'm going to press Shift A, mesh, plane, and I'm going to pull it out to here. I'm looking from the top, and I just pulled it out to there. Okay. I'm going to go into edit mode, and I'm going to press SX to scale it in the X and get the approximate width of the fan blade that I want. I'm looking down here. All right. Up here, I'm going to widen that in a moment. So I'm going to press 2 for edge selection, select that edge. I'll pull it out a little bit more. And I press S to scale and make it a bit wider like this. And then just turn and look and say, okay, imagine that's my fan blade. Does it look big enough? It's hard to tell sometimes, so let's just go with that for now. Alt-A to deselect. All right, I don't want it square like that and sharp, so I'm going to press 1 for vertex selection. You can see the black dots. A to select all 4 vertices there. And now I'm going to bevel these to round them. Because this is just a flat plane, I can't use Control B, I have to use Shift Control B. So Shift Control B, click that, and then start to pull. And it will remember how many segments I used the last time I used the bevel tool. I'm going to scroll back to 0. So I just have 2 edges, or 2 vertices there. And that looks cool actually, but that's not what I want. I'm going to scroll my mouse up. There I have 3, 4, 5. And then I'm just looking down at the bottom to make sure that they don't cross over like that. And I get a nice rounding effect, and I go for that. And that's what I'm going to use. All right. A to select it all. Let's give it a little bit of thickness. So press E to extrude and pull it up in the Z, just like that, not too much, something like that. And now let's bevel these edges so they're not sharp. So I'm going to press 2 for edge selection, Shift and Alt and click that edge. Should go all the way around, and from having trouble seeing with that mat cap, I could always switch to there. I'll do that for the moment. In fact, I can do the same thing on the bottom. Shift Alt and click the bottom. So I've got the top edge all the way around and the bottom. Control B, pull, and I'm going to roll back to 0 and then decide, do I want just 1? I might put 5 in total. Shade smooth. And we'll probably will get, I'm going to switch back to that mat cap, some strange shading issues. We also have to make sure that our faces are facing the right way, which they are, but we'll deal with the shading in a bit. So now let's stylize this a little bit and make it look really neat, or a little bit better anyhow. My 3D cursor is still there. I'm going to put some holes in this, and then we're going to copy this around. So I'm just going to model it once and then copy it. So Shift A, mesh, circle. I've got this set as 22 vertices. That's just fine right now. I'm going to pull it out, go into edit mode, scale. I'll look from the side, and let's just G to grab and pull it up. And I'm going to pull it back here, scale it down a bit. And what I want to do is I want to make 3 or 4 holes in this. I'm also going to have a little post coming out and a bolt. So that's about the size maybe I would want. So to make a hole, I'm going to press F first of all on this circle, E to extrude, and do this, which is essentially I made a cylinder. Now that is probably flipped. You see it's red. Select it all, go Alt-N, recalculate outside. Now it's blue, so all my polys are facing the right way. Turn that off. So I've got 1 circle there, but I'm going to do more. So I'm going to go into edit mode. I'm going to press Shift D to duplicate, G to grab, pull one out, and S to scale. And I'm going to make a smaller circle here. Shift D to duplicate and just pull it across. So I have 3. Make sure they all go through and go back into object mode. So this is one object right there. Just got to make sure that it goes through my fan blade. Okay, cool. Select the fan blade, choose modifier Boolean, and I'm going to leave it on difference. I'm going to switch to fast, and with my eyedropper, I'm going to choose the circles. Now it looks all crazy, but hang on. Click apply, click the circles, and delete them. Now I have holes, but it looks terrible, doesn't it? So let's select the blade, and first off, let's add a bevel. I'm going to bring this up to 3. Choose for limit method angle. Then I'm going to add weighted normal, and under normals here, auto smooth. And it's looking a lot better, but I'm not quite done. Let's make sure we save. Right, this will just give a nice pattern as we replicate this around. I'm going to bevel these circles as well. Now, I just used Booleans, and Blender created some edges, which should be okay. Let's see if they are. I'll switch back to Studio here. So, all right, I'm going to, in edge selection, Shift Alt and click the edge, and I want the edge all around the circle, so I'm going to Shift Alt and click there as well. And what I want to make sure is that stuff like this is not selected and everything in the circle is selected. So I'm clicking a couple of times, it looks like, and that would get me all of the top, but I might see it from the bottom. So I'm going to do the same on the bottom. So far so good. Nope, not that one. Ah, you see? I may have some problems here. I had to click 3 times. I'm going to hold Shift and deselect that. Okay, now I'm going to zoom in, and I'm going to try and see how this takes a bevel by hand. Control B. Control B, pull. It's looking okay. I want, you know, you can do any design you want, but I want to have maybe 3 segments in there. Click, look on the bottom. A little bit of a problem there. Right there, overlaps. I'm going to do that again. Let's watch that. Right about there. Let's have a look at this. Now, one thing I should say is when you do these Booleans and a bevel, what you really want to have are these edges perpendicular to the curve, to the circle. This one is perpendicular, that's pretty good, but this one might not be. And so you can fake it by creating your own supporting edge. It looks like each of these circles needs 2. You know, this circle needs this edge to support it, and this edge, and this one needs this one, and this one, and this one shares that one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fake it by making another one. I'm going to try this. Let's see if I use the knife tool, press K, and I come out to here. That wasn't too straight. You could have just gone Control 7 and look from the bottom. So let's do that again. Let's get rid of that. So let's see. Let's try to build our own edge. So to click, and I'll press C to constrain, and I'll come out to there, and I'll stop. And now let me try to get rid of one of these edges. Let's see. Let's try getting rid of that edge first of all, and it takes it. Let's see what happens if we do the same thing down here. And then get rid of that one. Now each of them has 2. Haven't really changed much else. Let's see if that lets us bevel any better. Shift and Alt and click. So there's the top. There's no guarantee that I did that well, but we'll see. Okay, got everything selected. There's the bottom that I was having a problem with, so let's just focus on the bottom. Control B. Just pull the ways out. Let's click over the top. I don't know. I think it's okay. Alright, so we had to do an extra step because those booleans can be messy. Okay, with that done, let's look from the side and just have a look at this thing here. And I'm going to take this whole thing, just pull it down a little bit. I'm looking here to sort of center it. Okay, so how are these things going to attach? They're going to be a little post. So I'm going to press 3 for face selection and select this piece there. Might as well use the geometry I've already got. I'm going to duplicate it, Shift D, and pull it out, and separate it from this by pressing P, separate by selection. Go back into object mode, and now I have this. Okay, I'm going to take this piece, pull it here roughly, and then press E to extrude, pull it into here, and with that face still selected, X faces. Select this face at the front as well. Pull it in, X faces. Go back into object mode for a moment. So we can have a piece that looks like that. Let me go back to my red. Let's make sure our faces are right. Yep. And that probably is okay just like that without making any changes. It's inherited the bevel from here. To be quite honest with you, what I probably would do here is get rid of the bevel and get rid of that thing and get rid of that, and then come in and select these edges in edge selection, hold down Shift, select those edges, and then Control B and pull, and have maybe one segment in there, and just do it like, I would probably just do it like that. You can see the piece sticking in there. We're not going to see that though. And that's my support rod. So you can put in as many holes as you want in there. I'm just going to put a little bolt on top and on bottom, and then we're going to duplicate this around. So I'm going to save. I'm going to look down from the top, Shift A, mesh, circle. I'm still using 22 vertices from before. I'm going to go to edit mode, select it, bring it out, scale it down. I'm going to look from the side, number 3. I'm going to press G and I'm going to just pull it up and S, scale it again, and try to figure out what size of a bolt I want. I want it visible, but I want it to sort of not be wider than this, as if this bolt holds that piece in. So that's probably okay. I'm going to press F to make a face, E to extrude, and pull down, X faces to delete the bottom face. So it should be open on the bottom. Select that face. So I'm going to be in face selection, 3 for face selection. Zoom in and Control B to bevel, pull back, and have a few segments in there. Something like this. And pull as much as you want. Go back in object mode and shade smooth and select it. I'm going to look from the side now, and I'm going to just move it down like that. So we see something there. Let's take that and let's move it on to the underside as well. So I'm going to press 3 to look from the side. I'll go into edit mode and select it. Shift D. Let's rotate X 180 degrees and pull it under. So we have the bolts on both sides. There, good enough. Deselect and look at our work. That is a little bit small. But hopefully we can still see it. At least a little bit of detail. Okay, let's make 3 fan blades. So I'm going to select this part, hold down Shift for that bolt. Now there's the both of them connected together, and that. Press 7 to look from the top. My 3D cursor is still in the middle. I'm going to set the origin, to the 3D cursor. So the origin of everything I've got selected is right there. So if I rotate this, like press R, all moves relative to the 3D cursor. But I want to duplicate this. This is 360 degrees, so I'm going to duplicate this, and I'm going to rotate it 120 and another 120. Shift D, rotate 120 degrees. Shift D, rotate 120 degrees. And I have 3 fan blades. Cool. We could leave it at that point if you wanted, or you could even make this a more of a rounded piece to make a light on the bottom, and that would look pretty cool. I could show you how we could do that in case you were interested. Maybe this isn't rounded enough to look like a light, so you could come in here and Control plus a few times. That'll grow your selection. Control plus. You could delete those faces, X faces, and we have an opening. What I might do in this case, if I did that, is select this edge and just S to scale it in just a little bit more. And I'm going to press Shift S, cursor to selected. That'll bring my 3D cursor right down there. And now I can make some kind of a sphere. Probably what I would do is I would use a UV sphere. And maybe I'll just leave the default values for now. So that would stick there. And I'm going to edit mode, Z for wireframe, and then 1 for vertex selection. All right, and that makes it easy to press B to border select or box select and cut off about the bottom half. I might go to there. X vertices. A to select it all, S to scale. Scale it down a bit smaller and then start pulling it in. Let's go back and look in solid view, and then you decide how you want your light to look. I'm going to press SZ. I want to flatten it out a bit. I don't want it that crazy. I can pull that in like that, and then you could add a subdivision, Control 2, and shade smooth. And you could build a light like that. And I think I will leave that there. The problem with the UV spheres, you get this stretching here. I don't know if you can see that or not. There are ways to fix that, but it's not very visible at all, especially if you put like an emission on there. So you could just do it that way. Let's pull it there. I'm going to leave that there. Another type of light that you could make for this is when you have the 3 or 4 or 5 hanging lights. I'll show you what I mean by that. My 3D cursor is right there, still pretty much in the middle. So I'm going to start with that same circle. Mesh, circle. Look down from the top. And this time I think I'm going to pull it out here so we can work over here. I still want it straight in line with this, so I'm not just yanking it off to the side. I go into edit mode, press 1 for vertex selection, S to scale. I'll just move it a little bit closer. You just think about the size of these lights. Here's what I mean. I'm going to press E to extrude, come down a ways, like this. I'm going to select this edge, F to make a face, and now bevel. I'm going to pull quite far down. And imagine this circle here is where the cord would come in, or the attachment, and the bulb would be down there. So I have this. I want to give this some thickness. It's like a piece of a metal socket almost. It does look a little short to me, so I'm going to deselect it, select that edge, Shift Alt, click that, and just pull it down a little bit. A to select everything. I want to give this some thickness, and I'm going to do this by pressing E to extrude, Alt S, and I'm going to push, and it's going to come out a ways. All right. I just want to imagine it's like a piece of metal, and come out to about there. All right. Let's make sure my polys are all facing the right way. Okay, so far so good. Now I'm going to create a little lip on this, so I'm going to press Control R, pull down. So I have a little region here. Press 3 for face selection, Shift Alt and click. And then I'm going to do the E and Alt S trick again. E and Alt S, push. Come out a little ways. And I have that. I'm going to go Control. I'm going to try Control 1, which is one subdivision. And it's looking very smooth. I'm going to put some edge loops, Control R. I'm going to pull one down here. Control R, I'm going to pull one up here. And Control R, I'm going to put one right there. And this is debatable if you need any more. I don't think I do really. So I've got that. Now I want a light bulb in here. And the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to actually bring my 3D cursor to this object here. In fact, I'll bring it right to this edge. Shift Alt and click that edge. Shift S, cursor to selected. My 3D cursor is now there. We will need it back here in a while, but it's right there. And now we need to make a light bulb. We could use a UV sphere just like we did, or we could do another method. Shift A, mesh, cube. Control 2 on the cube. Shade smooth. Look from the side. Go into edit mode, make it a little smaller. Okay, we're in edit mode. Control R to split it down there. Select that bottom face. Control plus to get all that. We're going to delete that. Select it, move it down a little bit. Now, I'm going to apply that, and it's shade smooth. I'm going to go Control 1 after that to get another subdivision. Now, we won't have the stretching here like we do with the UV sphere, but this is not a perfect circle. I could have used cast to make it a better circle, but I don't care very much. It's not very high poly, so I just make this a little bit longer. E to extrude, and I'm going to pull in a little bit so it looks a little bit like a light bulb there. I don't have to make the whole light bulb. I'm going to pull it in, scale it down, and we have what looks like a light bulb in there. Alright, so far so good. How is this going to connect? That is the next question, and it's going to be angled. It's going to connect to here, and that may not be the position I want it in, so we're not quite that far out. So let's select both of these and look from the top and just pull it in a little ways. And in fact, we could go ahead and angle this. I'm just trying to decide where I want these. I think I'm going to come off of this piece here because I'm liking this curve. We're going to use this piece to attach the bulb. So let's look from the side, and let's just press G, and I may go ahead and press R to rotate this a little bit, and I'm going to have it come out like that, and I'm going to create something that attaches. So let's do that. All right, so let's just go ahead and I'm going to look from the side. I'm going to press Shift A, mesh plane. Just going to drag it up here, go into edit mode, press 1, and I'm going to collapse these vertices. I'm going to merge them in the center, so I have just this dot. And look from the side. I'm going to press G. I'm going to move it right to there, so it's right on the base of that thing. In fact, I might do a little bit of more work on that. We'll see. And I'm going to press E to extrude and G, and I pull up, and I'm going to go E, and I'm going to pull over there. I didn't quite hit this, so I'm going to select both of these points, pull them up to around the middle, and say, imagine if it was connected like that. So what could we do with this? Let's go back in. Let's select this point. This point is going to have a little bit of a curve on it, so I'm going to bevel that point. Shift Control B, pull, and I've got 5 vertices from before, and I'm going to use that just like that. Great. Let's convert this to a curve so we can make it like a wire almost. Let's go Object, Convert to Curve. Come over to the Curve dialog box and scroll down under Geometry and Bevel. Hold down Shift, and in the depth region, start pulling to the right till you get the thickness you want. Shade smooth, and we have that. Now I might want to come into here and look at this and position things a little bit. Because this is a curve, I can still move that. So I'm going to select this and this and go into edit mode. Let's go into wireframe. Let's go back into this. We'll take this. And just look from a position that you feel you can see. I'm going to press G, and I just moved it a little bit. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to in face selection, select this face right here. And I want it to extrude it up. And you can see my arrows are going in weird directions. I'm going to switch from global to normal. And now this Z arrow looks like it follows the curvature of my object. So I'm going to press E and I'm going to gesture up in the Z direction or pull. I'm going to do that. Add an edge loop here, come down. An edge loop here, come up. And right here, I know we're not joining yet very well, press 3 for face selection. I'd inset like this. E, come in, and X, get rid of that face. Maybe that's not the best way to do this. So let's come in some more. E to extrude and X that face. Okay. So we're not quite getting it with the wire yet. So we'll just adjust. And we'll just move things around until it looks good. You can do whatever you want down there, but that's okay. I think like that. I'm going to switch back to global. So we have our light. I'm going to select this, this, and this. All right. I'm going to look from the top. I want to spin them around, but my 3D cursor is here. To get it back to the middle, I'm going to press Shift C. My 3D cursor is right back in the middle now. And I can Shift D, rotate 120. Nope. First of all, make sure you set the origin to the 3D cursor. Rotate 120. Shift D, rotate 120. And we have our lamp. I don't know about these things, but you can do whatever you like at that point. Let's make sure everybody is facing outwards. Looks good. Turn that off so we can see our work. And that is our lamp. From here you can add any details you want, any bolts, any little rivets or washers or anything to attach it, and some materials. And yeah. Let's just have one quick look at our statistics here. So it's almost 30,000, so it's certainly not a really low poly lamp, but depends what you're doing with it. It could still work for a kitchen scene or a sci-fi. Looks like a spaceship, really. All right, that's our ceiling fan. I keep saying lamp, but ceiling fan. Thanks for watching.